The Call of the Sea releases November 2022. This is a book that is set in the 1400s. It is set in the area that we now call Wales, but at that time it was broken up into different kingdoms. So it was the Kingdom of Gwynedd and the Kingdom of Deheubarth. And it's based on a real event that happened in the early 1400s when a big rift occurred between Owain Gwynedd, who was the king of Gwynedd, and his brother, Cadwaladr. And Cadwaladr was accused of murdering the man who was to become Owain Gwyned's daughter's husband. And when he was accused, he fled to Ireland to seek help from the Vikings. So this is a book that involves the Vikings coming over to Wales and the conflict that ensued afterwards. When I started digging to try and find a story that not many people knew about that was set in this part of the world, I came across this and I noticed that every time I read about Cadwaladr's involvement in the Prince of Deheubarth's murder, it said, historians believe, or he was allegedly the murderer. And I immediately thought, but what if he wasn't? And so that was the beginning of this book, of creating a fictional story very, very firmly based on this event. And at the back of the book, I have an author's note that separates the fact and the fiction. We have Cadwaladr, who is accused of the murder, but then one of the Vikings and the Welsh girl heroine in the story, who are the romantic leads, they are forced to overcome the biases that they have in their cultures. This was a culture where they were raised to distrust and hate each other because they came from completely different cultures. You have the Welsh people who are farmers, rural people, and you had the Vikings who were raiders, and you have the Welsh people who were Christians and the Vikings who were pagans. And so you have this clash of cultures, and yet the hero and the heroine somehow overcome that. It is a Christian novel because the way that the Viking comes to terms with his differences is by looking for answers, and he finds the answers with an Irish priest because he wants to understand how this Welsh girl thinks and feels, and he finds it by discovering Christianity. I think it's going to appeal to a lot of people because it has the real historical element. It has obviously some violence in it because you're involving Vikings, but not gratuitous violence. And it does have some romance, but it just has a really good message, several good messages, I think. One is that it takes courage and bravery to do the right thing. Another is that enmity can be overcome through love. And another is that you can come from completely different cultures, and yet as long as you have a Christ-like attitude, you can overcome those differences. You can see each other for the good that is in each other, even though you're in cultures that collide.